What is up, and welcome to the channel. On today's episode of Watch Me Have a Good Time, I have not a 5.56 AK or a PSA AK. We have a Riley Defense RAK 74 chambered in 5.45 by 39. Riley Defense manufacturing AKs not too far away from PSA though, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So Riley Defense has been around for a number of years now. Originally, when they first started making weapons and they hit the market, they were AKM patterned rifles, 7.62 by 39 guns. And then over time, they've gotten into some other things, all the way to, I believe, maybe even importing a couple things, if I recall correctly. So I wanted a new AK that was not a 7.62 gun and not a 5.56 AK. So that only leaves, really 5.45 by 39 guns. And those are pretty hard to come by nowadays. You have a handful of options. The Polish ones, who was a Pioneer? Pioneer is gone. So you cannot get a Pioneer, like a cheaper Polish gun. WBP, I believe, offers a 5.45 gun, I had to guess. But the choices are somewhat slim when it comes to a 5.45 AK. So for the most part, the easiest things to get a hold of for me would be a PSA rifle, or in this instance, a Riley Defense rifle. Real quick, let's go through the setup and what I have on here. Starting from the muzzle device, we have a traditional 74 muzzle device that came on it. We have a Surefire Scout Light, a Steiner D-Ball, a Sure Shot chassis system, which I really like. This chassis is sick, to be honest with you. I really like the chassis system. We have an EOTech. We are running Polish polymer magazines, and everything else on it is Riley. So the feature set of the Riley Defense RAK 74P, this came originally as the polymer model. I have the original buttstock on here and the original pistol grip. It comes with the 74 style muzzle brake. It comes with bayonet lug. It came with a cleaning rod, which is not there currently. And Riley claims that they are using mil-spec receivers and mil-spec furniture. And actually, that's one of the things that I noted almost immediately upon picking it up, was the furniture on it seemed a lot more real world use than some of the other American-made AKs furniture that I'm used to getting my hands on. Example, the buttstock feels like you could actually use it as a buttstock in relation to mortaring a round out, or, doing buttstock things. Whereas some of my other AKs, American-made AKs, they feel a lot more toyish. They feel like I could break them very easily. That was not the case with the furniture on this. So actually, I was pretty impressed with whatever furniture that they are using on here. Furniture aside, we have, importantly, a forged trunnion, forged bolt. If you're not familiar, American AKs for a long time had a lot of issues due to head spacing and soft parts, soft components, from not using forged trunnions and forged bolts. This fortunately has both, and we'll talk about head spacing and stuff in a little bit. It also features a chrome line barrel, which I am very appreciative of. I have been shooting some 7 and 6 through here, not all of it, but a good little bit, and so I appreciate a chrome line barrel on something like this. The finish is okay. I kind of went into this knowing that Riley has had some complaints in relation to their finish and rust, things like that. And I've been paying attention to it, because after shooting corrosive ammunition through it, I literally just like pour water through the whole thing. So I've been keeping an eye on it, looking for rust spots, things like that. And so far, I don't have any at all. I've also been paying attention to the finish and trying to take care of it a little bit, because I know that this is a little bit more prone to rust due to the Riley coating. Oh, my back hurts, dude. But so far, no issues in terms of rust. Something about 5.45 guns and 74s in general, for whatever reason, I don't know why, almost all of them I've got my hands on shoot incredibly flat. Even this with just the polymer furniture on it, before I loaded it up and made it heavier, it was an incredibly flat shooting gun, which is awesome. Honestly, most 74s that I have shot have lower recoil or have less muzzle rise than a lot of ARs I've shot over the years. Something about the 74 designs, they are lasers. Real quick, we're gonna do a little bit of shooting with it, and then I'm gonna take it apart and show you the bolt and trunnion so you can get an idea of the wear pattern that is occurring with this. All right, so we're gonna shoot 6 rounds in the A zone at 7 yards. Let's see how fast I can do this. That's a 138. That one got away from me, but not a bad bill drill. So, as you can see, it is an incredibly flat shooting weapon. A lot of 74s are that way, and I absolutely love them for that. Something else to talk about that I also really love about the Riley 74 is the trigger. The trigger on it is very good for an AK trigger straight out of the box, which I appreciate. There's no need, at least for me, to throw an ALG or something else on it. This is perfectly adequate, and I really do like it. Should I do it? Should I ghost the trigger? Should I ghost the trigger, bro? So we're gonna ghost the trigger for you. So there's a little take up, it hits a slight wall, and it goes. So, like most AK triggers, it's not, certainly not an AR trigger, but here, a little take up, hit a wall, and then it goes. And it's probably right at 4 pounds if I had to guess. So I really do like the factory trigger. But that brings me to my next point. Part of the trigger that they chose to use, at least the hammer, it has an incredible amount of resistance on it, which many AKs will do this. It seems to be very pronounced on this. Really, it seems to be part of the bolt hold open safety lever. I noticed the safety lever felt very strange and almost gummy I guess is how I would describe it. It's not quite as snappy as how I typically like my AK safeties. And so normally I can just bend an AK safety to the amount of resistance that I want on it. So I can just move it freely, relatively freely, easily, which makes better for snap shooting. And there's a lot of resistance on this, and I figured out, I'm like, oh, you know what? And also I looked online, and one of the features they list is a bolt hold open, which is a combination of the face of the hammer and then the safety. And it does work. So you can send the bolt home and lock it easily. I can't see nothing, boy. It's like straight fog. So it does work as a bolt hold open, but truthfully, I think I would rather just have a smoother, I'd rather have the system be smoother when I go to chamber around or do whatever than I would have a bolt hold open. That's just me personally. Part of the manual of arms of the AK system is ingrained in me. So to me, it's not a big deal to, when I have an issue, rack it, hold it, and then do whatever I need to do. And the reason why I bring that up is because every single person that I've handed this to that has ran the action of it, they've all stopped and gave me a look like, oh, when they get to that point and it hangs right there. Everybody's like, oh, what is that? But in reality, it's part of a bolt hold open system. Something to know. So we are at the 1,000 round mark on this. Let's go ahead and take it apart and have a look at the internals. So here we have the bolt, which is in pretty good shape. You can see there's a little wear from where the finish is gone, but there really isn't much, if any, deformation on it, with the exception of that right there. The bolt is actually in really good shape, which is nice to see. We have the carrier and piston rod. No unusual markings on it. It looks good. Like as you can see, I've added some flour to it. That's nice. The piston and bolt does look good. It has a proper amount of wiggle in it, just a little bit, which is fine. And then I might have to show it to you like this. And then in here, I'm doing my best to show you the locking lug. I don't think it's gonna come out well though. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it on camera for you guys, but the front trunnion looks really good. Maybe I'll insert photos of it. It's very hard to do with the Sure Shot chassis in place, but there is no deformation of the front trunnion where the bolt locks in, which is great news. There's no weird wear marks on it or anything like that. My experience with American-made AKs is usually you'll start to see some kind of deformation down there where that bolt rotates and locks into place. And I really don't see any here, which is fantastic news. So real quick, I'm going to check the headspace. This is not the ideal way to do it, but you know, don't try this at home. I am an internet expert. So the headspace on this has stayed very consistent and it's still very good, which is great to hear. So there's been no loss of headspace on the 1,000 rounds that I put through this, which is obviously a big deal. And the reason why I'm talking about it is American-made AKs have a tendency, either from materials used or even the geometry of the trunnion and bolt, they often have a tendency to lose headspace, or at least faster than comb block AKs. So overall, I think this thing is awesome. It's a lot of fun to shoot. I will be shooting AK Masters with this rifle, and it's been 100% reliable for me. No malfunctions to note, which is also a very nice thing. Real quick, talking about the future of 545 and AKs in general in the United States. 545 is becoming harder and harder to find, obviously making it more expensive. AAC and Palmetto State Armory has flat out said that they are shelving 545 ammunition production. So we are reliant on imported, specifically right now, Tela ammunition, and you can still find surplus in some of the Wolf, just depending on where you look. 556 AKs will eventually dominate the market. That's an inevitability, and I realize that. But there's something about the 74, like a true one, chambered in 545. It is an absolute vibe, and I love it. It's fun to shoot. And 7 and 6 and some of the rounds, they really do thump. They really do have a little bit behind them. Those things are hard-hitting rounds. Overall, it's been a great rifle. And Riley is developing a 556 AK, so I am very much looking forward to buying one of those whenever they hit the market. I would be very curious to see how those perform, and if they're anything like this, they're probably going to be well worth your money. With that said, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.